If you own a condominium in Florida, you're probably already very acutely aware of the major changes that are financially crushing many condo owners here in Florida. Some people are calling this a crisis. If it's not a crisis, I would say it is very, very serious. Let's get into the details right now. I'm Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, which is based right here in South Florida. And if you just take a look around Florida as a whole, you will see condos everywhere, especially along the coastline. And if you just walk outside the building I'm in right now here in downtown Boca Raton, Florida, you will not be able to get very far without bumping into many condos. And many of the condos in Boca Raton are 40 to 50 years old. Now, these aging assets are just one piece of what's influencing this condo crisis that's upon us. But let's put a pin in the topic of building maintenance, reserves, inspections, aging assets. We'll come back to that. Let's start with another crisis in its own right that is absolutely affecting the cost of ownership of condos here in South Florida, the insurance crisis. If you live in Florida or if you've watched any of my previous videos associated with this topic, you're probably aware of the home insurance premiums in the state of Florida. They've gone way up. They've skyrocketed since 2019. In fact, they are triple the national average. Obviously, insurance rates in Florida are always going to be a little bit higher than the national average. I mean, we have hurricanes in the state of Florida. We can expect some type of damage from natural disasters from time to time. But to triple in such a short period of time, let's talk about what happened. Experts say fraudulent claims have become the biggest problem here in Florida, and it's led many national insurers to leave the state. They no longer offer insurance in the state altogether. Most often, these bogus claims, they involve roof damage, which is greatly overstated. So shady roofers will come in, they'll evaluate and exaggerate the work that's needed, then they'll get paid extra to maybe replace the entire roof when it really might not be necessary. And not only is this wrong, but it has really put Florida homeowners in a bad spot. And even more so for resident condo owners. I mean, just think about it. Premiums go up. The condo owners need to make up the difference. The condo association board makes the decision, bills everyone accordingly through the condo association, dues every month or every quarter. And when the insurance premiums are already a big piece of the condo association fees, and then all of a sudden they double or triple, especially if you have a condo on the coastline, well, your fees, your condo association dues are going to double or triple potentially. Now, if you're watching this video because you're thinking about buying a condo in the Florida market, don't let this deter you. I'm sorry. Take this as educational information to help you do a good deal. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Give me a call, email, text, or drop your questions in the comment section below, and I'm happy to answer them. There should be a bunch of questions because I'm going very high level with this right now. Well, we represent buyers. We do a deep dive, sometimes even before we get under contract. We gather a ton of documents. We ask a ton of questions. We have a list of questions standard that we ask the agent, the association, the owner to help our buyers make sure they're doing a good deal. There are many ways you can get jammed in this current condo crisis world. So keep that in mind. How do you think increasing association dues is going to affect retirees that are on a fixed income? And I'll tell you what, there are a ton of retirees in condos along the coastline that are on a fixed income and hoping that their fees will stay relatively low, not triple, right? That is going to hurt them dramatically. And many of them bought these condo units when they were like, I don't know, 50,000, 80,000, and they've been there for so many years. And now all of a sudden, the association dues triple, and then they get hit with other fees that we're going to talk about in a second. This is going to impact these people quite a bit. I'm already seeing it. I am selling many condos right now for people that can't afford to continue to pay their dues. I want to share a quick anecdote about how condo associations can mismanage the current insurance crisis we're in. I was representing a seller earlier this year, and early on we were doing our due diligence. We were gathering documentation, and during that time we also confirmed that the building and the unit within the building can be financed. So we sent the documentation to our lender. The lender kicked it back and said, can't finance this building. And we said, well, why not? And he said, well, the insurance policy doesn't meet the guidelines. And we said, well, that's weird. We saw that people were financing the units last year. And then we come to find out that the condo association changed insurance policies. They went and got a cheaper insurance policy. So they thought they were doing a good thing by keeping HOA condo association dues low or relatively low. And in fact, they were really hurting their homeowners because now no one could get financing on their units. So when anyone went to sell, all they could entertain was, creative financing and or cash. So they cut out a whole buyer pool that they otherwise had the year before. And that materially impacted the value for every owner in that building. Okay, so insurance premiums going up, that hurts pretty much everybody across the board here in Florida. You can't really escape it. Condos, though, on the ocean or on the intercoastal or on the coastline here, maybe they'll feel it a little bit more than others, but you can't escape insurance. Now, that's just one part of the issue. Let's talk about what else is going on. In 2021, you may have heard of this, the Surfside Tower collapse. It was all over the news, 98 deaths. This became a statewide wake-up call for safety and maintenance in these types of buildings. State legislators revised Florida's Condo Act, and now they're requiring condo associations that are 3 stories and higher to reserve funds for capital expenditures and deferred maintenance. No questions asked. You have to do this now. That's on top of the normal operating expenses that everybody's already been paying. So while this may be beneficial in preventing another tragedy, which is super important, like the Champagne Towers here, it's more annual fees placed on resident owners right now. Technically, this isn't a new concept altogether. The condo boards are supposed to calculate reserves every year, and they're supposed to reserve the appropriate funds for big maintenance items like roofs, pools, seawalls, structural work, whatever it is. The only difference is, before this new law, they had the ability to, by majority vote, decide to waive those fees altogether or reduce them substantially. And a lot of condo buildings, they made that decision to do that. You tell me what happens when a condo building decides not to reserve enough funds to take care of key maintenance items in the future, like structural work. Well, we just talked about the Surfside building, so we know what could happen. But they decide at one point in the future that they have to do it now. Sometimes that's because maybe a hurricane hit the building and they need to do that work. So now they're either asking the insurance company to help them pay for this, but the insurance company needs proof and they need to go through that process. So that money doesn't usually show up right away. Sometimes that's a whole litigation process just to get the money there. So they have to go back to all the owners and say, well, we were planning on doing this at X date and we decided not to reserve the money. So now we have to ask everyone for 50 grand each to get this done. Okay, but not everyone can pay 50 grand at once, right? So what do? They split it up. So, okay, so we still need to do this work. The insurance company can't pay us right away because now we're in litigation with them. The condo owners can't afford to come up with a $50,000 check right out of their butt. So what do? We got to go get a big loan. So now we take a big loan on the building to help pay for the current work that we need to do today. And now we're in litigation with an insurance company. And now everybody in the building has a big $50,000 bill that they're paying off monthly. It is absolutely chaos in some cases. If you've ever been involved in your own construction project or simply watched HGTV and the drama that comes with these TV shows about renovating your home, you're probably very aware that there's always more work to be done than initially meets the eye. And in these 40, 50-year-old buildings, specifically here in Boca, that is absolutely the case most of the time. So some of these buildings are requiring $5 million or even $10 million in renovation work to meet the current standards. If you're a condo owner in this situation, thinking about selling, how do you sell for top dollar? In a lot of cases, there's scaffolding all over the place. It's really noisy because there's workers there all day. Sometimes you don't even have access to your own balcony. It's really messy sometimes on site. It's really hard to feature a home for sale amongst all this chaos. And then on top of that, just to take it a step further, buyers come in and they potentially look at your property, and there's a lot of uncertainty around what's happening because you may have agreed to pay an assessment with the condo association of $50,000, but we're not sure if that's the last $50,000 bill you need to pay because the contractors haven't finished the work. They may uncover more issues like we talked about. Older buildings, usually when you start work, it's opening a can of worms. And so there's more costs down the road. So a buyer sometimes gets fearful of what other costs they might incur if they take ownership of this property. On top of that, if they take ownership of this property, they have to live through all this renovation work. And in some cases, it takes 1, 2, even 3 years I've seen. Let's get back to the legislation. They didn't stop there. Structural Integrity Reserve Studies, SIRS, are now mandatory for all condo buildings. They added many new compliance items to the study. They're required to do this every 10 years now. And guess what? They're not cheap, not even a little bit. Some of the key items in the study are the roof, the structure, plumbing, fireproofing and fire protection systems, electrical systems, waterproofing, windows and exterior doors, etc., etc. Remember, prior to 2022, condo buildings were not required to have reserve studies done. So that's confusing. How can they determine how much they need to reserve for if they may not have had a reserve study done? Or maybe they had a reserve study done a very long time ago. Everything on this list needs to be budgeted for by law. So it needs to be reserved by law, which is a big deal because many of these condo buildings have not been doing that. So who's going to pay for this? Well, the condo owners are. And guess what? The first SIRS study is due by the end of 2024. As if all this wasn't enough, we have this looming market correction potentially upon us that many of these experts have been predicting for some time. All of this is weighing pretty heavy on our condo sellers. It may very well force a lot of our Florida retirees to sell the condos that they own because they just simply can't afford the crazy increases in prices. The cost of living here has changed dramatically over the years. And this isn't an assumption. We are actively selling a ton of property for Florida retirees that are moving to cheaper markets right now. So the big question here is, will this so-called crisis create a domino effect? Will more properties hit the market because of the issues we just discussed? Will the inventory increase so much that prices start to come down a little bit? And I think the answer is maybe, but probably not. I think there is substantial healthy demand here in the South Florida market specifically that prices will likely hold where they're at. And even though we are going to see more properties likely pop on the market because of the issues we discussed, I think they will be absorbed very quickly. So I'm super curious to hear what you guys think. Do you think the condo market in South Florida is doomed? Do you think prices are coming down? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like the video, give me a like. If you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button. And if you're looking to buy or sell real estate in South Florida, don't hesitate to reach out, text, email, phone call, whatever you'd like. My name's Larry Mastropieri. I'm the broker owner of the Mastropieri Group based right here in South Florida, and I'll see you guys next time.